Me? All right, I think we are live. Let's see. All right, I think we're live for the 5-day blood sugar challenge. If you all could do me a favor and say hello in the chat, let me know that you can hear me and see me on this beautiful Monday morning. I hope you guys are all having an awesome day so far and had an awesome weekend. I know that we've got a lot of first timers signed up for our 5-day challenge this time around, so it's always a little hard on day one for people to find us in the Facebook group, find my Facebook Live, but I see we have Dee and Kristen and Gerald. Hello, everybody. Patsy's here. Awesome. So a good bunch of you guys have already found our Facebook Live. Hi, Bob, Mary, Cheryl. I see some familiar faces in the chat. Jackie, Mary. Awesome. Hi, everybody. Hi, Katrina, Shoni, Christina, Callie's here, Kim, Debbie, Cindy, Tracy. Oh, I love seeing the familiar faces, you guys. Charlene. Oh man, I can't even keep track. So many of you guys. Awesome. So we'll hang tight for just a few minutes because it takes some people a little bit to find the Facebook Live, especially on day one when we're still getting oriented. So we'll kind of all just hang out here together for a few minutes and give everybody a chance to find us. Hi, Arik, Karen, Roslyn, Elisa, Mona, Holly, Sue. Awesome. Guys, tell us where you're joining from. We've got people all over the US. We've got clients all the way over in Alaska. We have clients in Florida and North Carolina, unfortunately being hit by those big storms. We've got people everywhere in between. We've got clients in Hawaii. So it's always fun to see where everybody's joining from. I'll introduce myself here in a little bit, but I'm in Northern California. So that's where I'm located. I'm on Pacific time, so it's 9 a.m. my time, but I know for a lot of you guys, you're in the afternoon at this point. We've got people from Kansas, Texas, Georgia, Southern California, another California, Northern Indiana, Missouri, 2 Missouris in a row. Awesome. Georgia, Raleigh, North Carolina. A couple of you guys from North Carolina. Wow. There's a lot going on over there this week or this last week. New Jersey, Ohio, Venice Beach, California. Beautiful. Ohio, Whittier, California, Illinois, Washington, D.C., Colorado, Indiana. Awesome. Massachusetts, Las Vegas, Nevada, Georgia, Iowa. Man, I think we're going to hit all 50 states, you guys. I don't see anyone saying Alaska or Hawaii yet, but I saw Katrina's in the chat today, and I know Katrina's over in Alaska. North Carolina, Florida, Arkansas, NorCal. I'm a NorCal girl too, Jerry. Minnesota. Awesome. Cool. Like I said, if you're just hopping on, we're just saying hello. We're going to hang out for just a couple more minutes while we wait for everybody to find us here in our Facebook group. And this is what we're going to be doing every day of the 5-day challenge is I'll be hopping in the Facebook group each morning, same time this week. So again, 9 a.m. Pacific time, but everybody's in different time zones. And then I will do about a 1-hour training. Every day I'm going to give you a little micro assignment. And then we're off to the races. And if you can't attend the Facebook Live like you are right now, then you'll have access to the replay. I'll be sending out the replay via email every afternoon or evening. So no worries if you can't attend our Facebook Lives. Of course, we'd love to have you joining us live. It's a lot more fun if you do because we can interact with each other like we are right now. But if not, no big deal. You will get the replay. And I'll explain how the whole challenge is going to work here in just a couple minutes. But we're just giving everybody an opportunity to find us. We've got a good sized group here. Lizette, Nidra, Cindy, Joni, Rebecca. We've got Kansas, Florida, Georgia, Washington. I saw someone say Portland, Oregon. I lived in Portland, Oregon for a few years. My dad lives up that way. New Jersey, Tennessee, New Jersey in the house, New York City. Very cool, guys. Florida, Nebraska, Arizona. Awesome, you guys. Very cool. Utah, Pennsylvania. Yep, cool. So it looks like we probably are going to hit all 50 states. Massachusetts, Michigan. Quite a few of us from California. Awesome. Joanna, I was living in Sacramento until fairly recently. So that's cool. I'm very familiar with that area as well. All right, well, let me get my screen shared and we'll start the day one training, which, like I promised, the beginning of it is kind of orientation so you guys know what to expect this week. And I have to arrange my screen kind of funny so that you guys can see me and I can see the chat and you guys can see my slides. So I think that that's the best way to do it right there. Will you guys do me a favor and let me know that you can see my slides here? It should say day one, test, don't guess. Just type yes if you can see my slides. I'm on my second cup of coffee for you guys today. Looks perfect, Callie said. Thank you, Callie, Cindy, awesome. All right, so I'm extra caffeinated for you guys today. I'm excited about day one. Hi, Elaine. Okay, so day one, we call this test, don't guess, because what we find is so many people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, and they're sent out the door with maybe a prescription for metformin and maybe a glucose meter, a glucometer, right? And they're told to prick their fingers 2 or 3 times a day, or sometimes just once a day, and test their blood sugar randomly. They're usually not given a whole lot of instruction. So type me in the chat if you can relate to that. If you were sent out the door with maybe a prescription and a glucose meter at the most, maybe some very generic nutrition advice, you guys can type me in the chat. And kind of left to your own devices and unsure what you're supposed to be doing to get your blood sugar down. Wendy says she relates. Lots of me's coming in the chat. Yeah, so this is not uncommon. It's really unfortunate and frustrating because then what happens is, without any more, specific advice, people are left spinning their wheels, and then they go in every 3 to 6 months for that A1C checkup, and nothing gets better. In fact, a lot of times it just tends to get worse. That A1C just keeps climbing higher, and it feels like the only thing your doctor has to offer is another medication. So then you go from metformin to a higher dose of metformin to maybe another oral medication to maybe eventually an injection. And then maybe at the far end, you get prescribed insulin injections. And it's not uncommon for people to, 5 years into having diabetes, they're on maybe 5 different medications, right? In fact, maybe you guys want to drop a number if you care to share. How many medications are you guys taking for diabetes? 1, 2, 3, more? Some people taking like 5. And what we're going to cover this week also is that these medications are not, it's not always just for blood sugar. 1, 2, 3, yeah, lots of different numbers coming in. A lot of times it's not just our blood sugar that's being affected by having this diabetes, which we're going to learn about insulin resistance this week. It affects our blood pressure. It affects our lipid panel, our cholesterol. So it's not uncommon for people to be on a couple different blood sugar medications for the diabetes, but simultaneously be taking something for high blood pressure and their cholesterol and all kinds of other issues that they're having. So we'll talk all about that this week. But day one, we're going to keep super simple. Day one is test, don't guess. I'm going to teach you guys how to test your blood sugar in a way that's actually going to give you data about how your body is responding to the foods that you eat. So this is not testing blindly. It's not pricking your finger first thing in the morning and writing that number down and not knowing what to do with it. We're going to teach you a very strategic way to test your blood sugar that's going to allow you guys to put the pieces together for yourself. And what's really cool, my favorite thing about this challenge is it's going to allow you to make decisions for yourself based on cold, hard data, instead of having to trust me or anyone else blindly. So no longer, after today, you will no longer be taking any nutrition advice blindly. Someone tells you to eat plant-based, you can test it and see exactly how your blood sugar responds. Someone tells you to eat keto or carnivore, you can test it, see how your blood sugar responds. So you do not have to take my advice blindly or anyone else's. Today you're going to learn exactly how to do it. So let's dive into our day one training, starting with, I'm going to cover how the challenge works. I'm assuming we have the majority of you here are first timers, although I definitely know we have a good amount of repeat customers here for our 5-day challenge. If this is your first 5-day challenge with us, type 1 in the chat. If you have done a 5-day challenge with us before, go ahead and tell us how many times you've done the 5-day challenge. 2, 3, 4, 5. Like I said, we always have repeat customers, but I'm going to go over how this challenge works. Yep, lots of ones coming in, lots of first timers here. Cool. Robin's a repeat customer. Awesome, Robin. Happy to have you back. Cindy, hi. Okay, so this is how the challenge works, you guys. Every day at the same time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's my time. I don't know if you're on Eastern, Central, Mountain time, what time you're in. But I'm going to go live inside of this Facebook group at the same time each day. Each day's training is going to be about an hour. And if you don't see me, sometimes you guys hop into the Facebook group a little bit early. If you don't see me in there, just refresh the page. Just keep hitting that refresh button and scrolling down until you see me. So I'll be going live at the same time each day inside the 5-day challenge Facebook group. As long as you signed up for the challenge, you guys should be getting my emails every day this week. So every morning you'll get an email reminding you to show up in the Facebook group with the link. So all you do is click that link. If you show up a little early, just refresh the page at the scheduled time. Replays are available. So you can find replays for the 5-day challenge at the top of our Facebook group. I'm going to pin them under the featured tab. So if you guys are in the Facebook group, just scroll up to the top of the page. There's a featured tab, click featured, and you can find all of the replays there along with the daily posts. So speaking of the daily posts, each day there's a 1 micro assignment, okay? I'm going to give you everybody 1 micro assignment each day. Super teeny tiny thing to do. So there will be a daily post inside the Facebook group. So for today, it's day 1. It's going to say day 1, and it's going to have your micro assignment, and all you're going to do is drop a comment on the post. So tomorrow there will be a day 2 post. On Wednesday, there will be a day 3 post, and so on. So pretty self-explanatory, you guys. I go live in the Facebook group once a day at the same time, 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you can't attend live, which we hope you can, but if you can't attend live, it's no big deal. You will get an email later that day or in the evening with the replay, or you can find the replay under the featured tab at the very top of the Facebook group. And then every day there will also be a daily post with your micro assignment. And you just drop a comment on that post. Again, you'll get an email every day with all of this information. And then I did put a little note at the bottom. We really, really appreciate your help supporting each other with this. So when you see people in the Facebook group who are wondering about replays, you can let them know they can find the replays under the featured tab of the Facebook group, or the day 1 post, or anything that they're looking for. We've got thousands of people signed up for this event, so it's really, really helpful when you guys help each other out. I will introduce our coaches here in a minute because we have 3 wonderful functional nutritionists who are also helping you guys out, supporting you guys inside the Facebook group. So there's 4 of us. We're a small team of 4, but we do have over 5,000 people signed up for this event. We have 5,000 people in the Facebook group, so it's a lot. There are no diet changes today. We get that question a lot on day 1. There's no diet changes today. Ideally, you have a glucose meter of some sort to test your blood sugar, or some sort of a device to test your blood sugar, but this is not a requirement, okay? You're gonna get the most out of this 5-day challenge if you do have either a blood glucose meter where you prick your finger and you test your blood sugar, or if you're wearing a CGM, which is a device that you wear on your arm for 14 or 15 days, and then it syncs usually to an app in your phone, and you can see your blood sugar every minute of the day, which is what we really recommend. But if you don't have either of those and you're not interested in getting a blood glucose meter or a CGM, you can still participate in the challenge. So please don't walk away yet. We want to keep you here for a couple reasons. We want you to learn what we're teaching you this week, because we're going to go over, the reason this is a whole 5 days is because I can't cover everything we need to cover in one day. I can't do that in an hour. I can't do that in 2 hours. We're actually taking the full 5 hours this week in bite-sized chunks for you guys. So there's a lot we want to cover. And even if you're not testing your blood sugar, you are going to benefit from what we teach you this week. And the other really cool thing is that when you test your blood sugar, you're going to see firsthand how your body responds to different foods that you want to test. But that being said, if you're not testing, you're still going to see the thousands of other people who signed up for this event celebrating their blood sugar readings with us by day 2. So we're going to have thousands of you guys celebrating your blood sugar readings by tomorrow, which is really, really cool. So today, we're just going to teach you how to test your blood sugar. Tomorrow, I'm going to be sharing some guidelines with you that are going to help bring your blood sugar down significantly fast. So even if you're not testing firsthand, you're going to see hundreds and even thousands of people who are. And it looks like a lot of you guys are using the Freestyle Libre, which is one of the CGMs. Awesome. I'm going to show you guys a couple options that are available now. CGMs are available over the counter, which is a brand new thing that happened like in August. So let's see. So no diet changes today. I'll introduce myself and our coaches here. My name's Mallory Nowak. I guess I should have done this a little earlier because I know we have a lot of first timers here, but I am a functional nutritionist. I also have a bachelor's degree in nutrition and food science from a California State University. Went to Sac State for those of you who are familiar with the Sacramento area. I am the founder of the Type 2 Transformation Program, which is a 12-week online course I created about 3.5 years ago. We're coming up on having almost 1,000 graduates of the program since I launched it, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's a 12-week online course. I'm actually teaching you guys a ton of the concepts that we teach in the Type 2 Transformation Program this week. That's why I love hosting this challenge, because it allows me to reach thousands of people every couple months. So it's a great program. My mission is to help thousands of people repair their blood sugar and A1C by the end of my career without relying on a lifetime of medications. So again, it's like we talked about at the beginning, so many of you guys have been sent out the door with prescriptions and no nutrition advice, or maybe bad nutrition advice that's not even getting your blood sugar and A1C down, right? So you're fully dependent on these medications to do the job. But type 2 diabetes is it's a dietary disease, and it takes a dietary approach, and it is reversible. So that's our goal with you guys this week, and we really want to teach you how to get your blood sugar down by day 2. That's our goal, and we're so excited to have you guys. Here is your team of functional nutritionists. They're going to be supporting you guys all week this week inside the 5-Day Challenge Facebook group. We've got Callie or Callista Chamas, we've got Tiana, and we've got Katie and myself. So you get a team of 4 functional nutritionists supporting all of you guys this week. We have a lot of fun with the 5-Day Challenge. And again, we are just so happy to have you guys all. John is asking, is this also valuable for people with type 1 diabetes? I would say yeah, because we are going to teach you how to manage your blood sugar more effectively. So that if you have type 1, meaning you require insulin therapy because your pancreas is not making it, very different than type 2. We will get into that. But you're still going to benefit from understanding how different foods are affecting your blood sugar and therefore your need for insulin. So yes, if you have type 1, stick around. Because this is still very valuable information for you. Before we do that, I see some talk coming in about CGMs, and I want to show you guys the 2 options for CGMs. So if you guys are not familiar, here we go. If you guys are not familiar with CGMs, it's a continuous glucose monitor. That's what CGM stands for. And what it does is it's this little device on my screen right here. And I wish there was a picture of someone wearing it. Let me see. Let's see, maybe the other one. There's 2 brands right now anyways that are available now over the counter. So this woman's wearing hers. You can see. So you see that little device, and you've probably seen commercials for them if you watch TV. These used to be only available by prescription. So it used to be the case that your doctor had to write a prescription, and most doctors couldn't write a prescription unless you were on insulin injections. Now, it was in, I think, August, and late August, they made them available to people over the counter. So you can actually buy these online. These are the two brands that we recommend. So there's the Stelo. I'll copy and paste it in the chat for you guys. There's the Stelo. And then the other one is the Lingo. Okay, and I'll tell you just really quickly a little bit about each of these. The Lingo is probably the more user-friendly one, simply because it's got, I've heard they have better customer service, but one caveat is that the Lingo is only available for those with an iPhone. So if you have an Android, you'll have to go for the Stelo, okay? The Lingo would be my preference. I think the interface is maybe a little easier to understand. I've heard their customer service and their educational articles are a little bit better, but either one works. And the way it works is you stamp it on the back of your arm and you give it 24 hours to calibrate, and then it starts showing you your blood sugar reading every minute of the day. Every time you open up that app on your phone, you will see where your blood sugar stands. So you no longer have to do the finger pricks and test your blood. You're just looking at your glucose meter. We don't expect these to match your blood meter, so you might notice that your CGM might run 20 to 30 points higher or lower, but we love using them to track trends. You can see when your blood sugar is going up, you can see when your blood sugar is coming down, and you can see when your blood sugar is staying pretty stable, right? So there's the Lingo. I dropped the link to both of these in the chat, and then here's the Stelo. Same concept, guys. Each sensor lasts 14 to 15 days. You buy them in packs of 2, so you basically get a 1-month supply when you buy. And you could do the one-time purchase or the subscribe and save for both of them. If you just do the one-time purchase, it's $99 for basically a 1-month supply. Both of them, same price. Same kind of deal. So you guys can look into that for yourself. Just know if you order it, it's not going to come for a few days. So it'll be after you finish the 5-day challenge, which is fine. But I did want to share that option because it's a new thing that's available to people. And I see lots of people have questions about this. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But yeah, you can wear these swimming. They're relatively, waterproof. If they fall off, you just contact the manufacturer and they'll send you a replacement. So, Cindy asks, are we going to talk about how to lower your A1C? Because if it's just testing blood sugar, that's not helping me because I don't need to do that. Cindy, you're going to learn this week that your blood sugar is the key to lowering your A1C. So all the A1C is it's a 90-day average of our blood sugar levels. So our red blood cells have a 90-day lifespan and they get coated in sugar. And so what they do when they're actually testing your A1C is they're seeing how much sugar is on each of your red blood cells. That's what the A1C is, and it's a direct reflection of your blood sugar levels. So our A1C only turns over every 90 days because that's the lifespan of our red blood cells. So we don't want to be in the dark for 90 days. That's where our testing our blood sugar comes into play. So instead of being in the dark, wondering and getting nervous every time you have to go in for a 3-month checkup, you can test your blood sugar as little or as often as you want. And it's going to tell you if your blood sugar is coming down, we know for a fact your A1C is going to be lower. So again, let's get back to our day 1 content. I won't talk too much more about the CGMs. Those are just 2 ways to test your blood sugar. Finger pricks, which is blood testing, or a CGM, which tests your interstitial fluid. Both are really valuable. Just know the finger pricks are just the snapshot in time. Our blood sugar is dynamic and ever changing. So when you do a finger prick, you only see what your blood sugar was that moment. When you wear a CGM, you see every minute of the day. Let's define healthy blood sugar ranges. So this is by definition, okay? And I want to be really, really, really clear. In fact, look at the bottom of my slide there. These numbers may not be realistic for you yet. In fact, if you guys are here, I'm assuming you're here because your blood sugar's high. So the immediate goal is not to have blood sugar readings in these normal healthy ranges. These are optimal ranges. That might not be the case for you this week, and that is fine. But I do want to define this because so many people haven't even started with the basics. They don't know what high blood sugar is, and they don't know what low blood sugar is. So healthy blood sugar ranges while you're fasting, your blood sugar should ideally be between 70 and 100 milligrams per deciliter. That's the optimal range for blood sugar while you're fasting. Fasting being defined as probably about 4 hours after you last ate, right? So when you wake up in the morning until you have breakfast, you're in a fasted state. Or if you go from lunch to dinner without any snacks and you've gone 4+ hours, that point you're in a fasted state, okay? And then 1 to 2 hours after eating, right? We can expect that when we eat a meal, our blood sugar might climb some. It might climb a lot depending on what you eat, which is what you're going to learn this week. But ideally, within 1 to 2 hours after eating, your blood sugar is still in a range of 70 up to 140. I've definitely seen some guidelines say up to 180. And I think that could be reasonable. It just, again, it depends where you stand. If your blood sugar, some of you guys here, I want to be really clear about this. Some of you guys here, your baseline blood sugar, your fasting blood sugar is already way above this, right? We have people join this challenge with blood sugar readings in the 250s and 300s, right? So for you guys, rest assured, this will still work for you, what we're teaching you this week. We really, really love working with those ultra high numbers because we can get you really big results. But obviously, we're not going to see your blood sugar between 70 and 140 right away. We're going to get your numbers down, but let's be realistic here. And again, reminding you guys, these are optimal ranges for people that don't have diabetes, don't have insulin resistance. So these numbers are not realistic for those of you guys who are here, but I do want to define them that these are considered the optimal ranges. With that being said, I also want to say, this is something I remind my clients of all the time, comparison is the thief of joy. So again, some of you guys joined this challenge and your blood sugar is maybe in the 300s right now. The last thing we want you guys doing is comparing yourself to those who are, I see people in the chat, awesome, sharing their numbers. But if you compare your numbers to theirs, you might, if you were only looking at your own numbers, you'd be celebrating, right? By day 2, your blood sugar is going to be down. You're going to feel really good about it. But if you go, oh, my blood sugar was 300, now it's at 210, that's incredible. That's incredible progress. But then you see someone saying, oh, my blood sugar is 150. Now you don't feel so good, right? So comparison is the thief of joy. We don't want you comparing anyone else's numbers to yours. Track your own progress. That's what we want to do, is track your own progress. Okay. Here's a hot topic I promised you guys I would teach you during the 5-day challenge, and we like to cover it on day 1, which is Dawn phenomenon. Type me in the chat if you guys have ever heard of Dawn phenomenon, or type me in the chat if you're frustrated about your high fasting blood sugar in the morning. If you struggle with high blood sugar in the morning and you haven't eaten since dinner the night before, type me in the chat. Yeah, so many of you guys are typing me already. So I'm going to explain why this happens and why you shouldn't freak out about it. Yes, it indicates that you have insulin resistance, right? That's a telltale sign of type 2 diabetes. That's the root cause, is the insulin resistance. But it's not a reflection of what you ate the night before. And so I hate to see people pricking their finger first thing in the morning and beating themselves up and thinking that they're not doing anything right, when in reality, that morning number is not a reflection of what you ate last night, okay? And I see so many of you guys typing me. Yeah, tell us how that makes you feel. PT says, frustrated. How does it make you feel when you wake up in the morning and you prick your finger and you haven't eaten in 8 or 10 or 12 hours and your blood sugar's high? Does it make you feel defeated, frustrated, mad, scared? How does it make you feel? Yeah, very frustrated. Okay, so we're going to talk about why this happens. Yep, Kathleen says, so what is it a reflection of? Yeah, let me talk about what Dawn phenomenon means. So Dawn phenomenon is that high fasting blood sugar in the morning, okay? And it's not a reflection of what you ate. It is caused by hormones like cortisol. So these are called counter-regulatory hormones. And what that means is they cause an increase in our blood sugar. So let me talk a little bit about cortisol and why that happens. So humans are diurnal creatures, meaning we're not nocturnal, right? We're meant to be awake during the day and asleep at night. We are diurnal creatures, not nocturnal. And as such, we have a circadian rhythm. Maybe some of you guys have heard of a circadian rhythm. It's our 24-hour biological clock that resets every single day. And it's largely dictated by Mother Nature's light and dark cycles, right? The sun comes up, we're supposed to be active and awake. The sun goes down, then we start producing melatonin, we get sleepy, and we go to bed. So that's the 24-hour circadian rhythm that we all have. Now, cortisol is another hormone that plays a role. So cortisol is kind of the opposite of melatonin, okay? Melatonin, you guys might be familiar, is the sleepy hormone. It is the highest in the evening. After the sun goes down, melatonin starts climbing and we get sleepy. Cortisol is the opposite. Cortisol peaks in the early morning hours, and it's a very energizing hormone. So cortisol gets a really bad rap as a stress hormone, but it actually is a cyclical hormone, and it's meant to be highest in the morning every single day. And then throughout the day, it comes down. And one of cortisol's really beneficial roles is giving us a burst of energy to start our day. And part of what it does is when cortisol is high, it starts pulling sugar out of where it's been stored in the body and puts it into our bloodstream so that we can physically exert ourselves. It gives us energy to start our day. So the way I look at cortisol, the way I like to explain it, I say it's Mother Nature's cup of coffee. Cortisol in the morning is Mother Nature's cup of coffee. And cortisol peaks in the morning for all humans, whether you have diabetes or not. So every single morning, cortisol comes out to give you a burst of energy to start your day, and it starts pulling sugar out of your liver, out of your muscles, and it puts it into your bloodstream to give you energy to get up and take a shower and start gathering food, making breakfast, whatever it is that you need to do. And so when you prick your finger first thing in the morning, or you look at your CGM sensor, you're going to see that your blood sugar's high. Again, it's not a reflection of what you ate the night before. It is not an accurate reflection of your dinner from the night before. That high blood sugar in the morning is caused by cortisol. Again, it's cortisol giving us a burst of energy to start our day, and part of that is an increase in our blood sugar. And I also want to be clear about how cortisol works in the sense that cortisol, you guys are probably more familiar hearing about cortisol as a stress hormone, right? It gets a bad rap. Cortisol is not all bad. It has a lot of beneficial roles in the body as well. This being one of them, giving us energy in the morning during the daytime hours. But another thing that happens is cortisol is a stress hormone. So anytime we are stressed out, whether that's, you're in an argument with a loved one, you have work deadlines, you're having financial hardships, anything that's like stressing you out, especially those acute situations, like if you're in the middle of arguing with someone, you can guarantee your cortisol's high, your adrenaline's high. Those are those counter-regulatory hormones. Yep, they're fight or flight. Thank you, Denise. I don't know why I haven't used that term yet. They are fight or flight hormones. Exactly. That is their purpose. Without these counter-regulatory hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, the human species would probably cease to exist. Because when we would come face to face with a saber-toothed tiger, or if we're being invaded by another tribe and we just froze and we didn't get that burst of energy, we didn't get that sugar in our bloodstream and our heart rate going up and our blood pressure going up, our pupils dilate, all these things happen when cortisol is high. If that didn't happen, the human species would probably fail to exist, right? So just know, not only does cortisol peak in the morning and cause an increase in your blood sugar, but also anytime you're stressed out, cortisol peaks. In fact, I'm not wearing one this week, okay? But when I wear a CGM, I can see when I'm in a stressful situation, when I look at my CGM, my blood sugar's higher. It comes up. I could be like this all day long, nice and steady, and then all of a sudden there's a big increase. The example I like to give is actually when I go live for this 5-day challenge. I have gone live on this 5-day challenge, ended my live call, looked at my CGM sensor in my phone, and the whole 1 hour that I was live, because, I'm speaking in front of a live audience. That's a little bit, I don't know, I get a little bit of anxiety about it. So then I look at it and my blood sugar's gone up for the whole hour, like 30 points, and I haven't eaten, right? Nothing's changed other than I have cortisol and adrenaline pumping through my veins, right? So just know that the morning numbers caused by high cortisol. Another question you guys sometimes ask is, okay, so how do I control the cortisol? The goal is not to control the cortisol, you guys. It's beneficial. It's meant to be highest in the morning and gradually decline throughout the day. That's natural. Whether you have diabetes or not, we want that. Again, we are diurnal creatures, not nocturnal. So it's not about controlling cortisol. What we're going to learn this week, it's about controlling insulin resistance, because the only difference between someone who has a high fasting blood sugar in the morning and someone who does not is insulin resistance. Okay? So I don't have insulin resistance. If I test my blood sugar first thing in the morning, my blood sugar is going to be under 100. And it's not that cortisol didn't come out and my and raise my blood sugar a little bit. It's that I don't have insulin resistance. So insulin is able to keep my blood sugar in check. So just rest assured, the same thing's happening. Cortisol's peaking. It's pulling sugar out of my liver, out of my muscles, putting it into my bloodstream. But I'm insulin sensitive, not resistant. So I can keep my blood sugar in check. But don't worry, guys. One thing I want to say is, the fasting blood sugar in the morning is the slowest. It's the last number to come down for most people, which is why I don't really think it's that important to test it every single day, because I think that people beat themselves up and feel really discouraged because they're thinking like, wow, I haven't even eaten anything yet. My blood sugar's already high, right? But the truth is, it's the last number to come down for most people. In fact, most of my clients, for example, their daytime numbers are great. Their A1C comes down so significantly in 3 months. But I have so many clients, you guys, with an A1C in the optimal range, under 5.7, who still deal with a high fasting blood sugar in the morning. They're still struggling with this dawn phenomenon that we're talking about. So just know you can still get amazing results. You can still knock it out of the park, have an A1C in the normal range, get off medications, and still sometimes see a elevated fasting blood sugar in the morning. It'll come down. It's just very, very stubborn, and it is the last number to come down. So if you're seeing a high fasting blood sugar, let's say in the 200s right now, you might start to see 190s, and then a couple weeks later, 180s, and then a couple weeks later, 170s. But it doesn't drop into the normal range immediately, just to set realistic expectations. Okay, so guys, will you just tell me real quick, yes or no, does that make sense? Do you guys understand how cortisol is really the driver behind the high blood sugar in the morning? Just type yes or no. I want to make sure this makes sense to you guys before we move on. Because we got a lot of people signed up just for this topic. You guys are saying yes. Okay, good. Yeah, think of cortisol. It's Mother Nature's cup of coffee. She's coming out to give you a burst of energy to start your day. Mother Nature's cup of coffee. She's pulling that sugar. Guys, we have sugar stored all over our body, okay? Especially our livers, like a sponge. Our livers are full of sugar. And so what we're doing is we're wringing it out when we fast. So you eat dinner, your last bite of food might have been at 8 p.m. Now at 8 a.m., you've gone 12 hours without eating anything. So you're wringing out your liver of all that sugar, and it's entering your bloodstream. So when you prick your finger in the morning, that's why your blood sugar's high. We don't want to blame cortisol. We want cortisol. Otherwise, there's people who have a reverse circadian rhythm, probably because they're on their computer or cell phone really late at night, shining that blue light in their eyes. And those are the people who don't have that cortisol peaking in the morning and the melatonin at night. It might be a little flip-flopped or a little delayed, which just means you need a circadian rhythm reset. It's driven by light and dark, right? So you're not going to produce melatonin if you're shining that blue light from your cell phone in your eyes. You're not going to produce melatonin. So when we're shining blue light in our eyes at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, super disruptive to our body's ability to make melatonin and then we're going to get flip-flopped with the cortisol melatonin thing. But the other thing I'll mention really quickly before we move on is that this cortisol peaks at different times for different people. So it can happen as early as 3 o'clock in the morning for some people. And for a lot of people, it happens like 7 or 8 in the morning. And then for other people, it might be even more delayed. I think it probably has a lot to do with whether you're an early bird or a night owl or what's going on. But again, if our lifestyles match the way the human species is supposed to be living, which is the sun goes down and we didn't have artificial light, then we would all have cortisol peaking really early in the morning and then declining throughout the day, and melatonin would peak soon after the sun goes down. Okay. So here's another thing I want to teach you guys, is that if your blood sugar is high when you haven't eaten for 4+ hours, just remember the sugar is not appearing out of thin air, okay? People get so frustrated. Again, it goes back to the morning number, but also during the day. You might have had breakfast at 8 a.m. and then at noon or at 1 o'clock or at 2 o'clock, you haven't even eaten lunch and you see that your blood sugar's still high. Guys, the sugar's not appearing out of thin air. Again, it's stored all over our body. This is exactly how it's supposed to work, right? We eat a meal, we pack away the excess. We pack it away for a rainy day. When we're in times between meals or when we fast, we're pulling that sugar out of storage and putting it into the bloodstream. And just know that in order for the sugar to leave your body, it has to go through the bloodstream. So all that sugar stored in your liver that you're wringing out, it has to enter your bloodstream where it's visible when you prick your finger or when you wear your CGM. There's no way around it. So just know, and all that body fat, you guys, the excess body fat, that is stored sugar. Okay, it's not the fat, and we're going to talk so much more about that this week. It's not the fat that's making us fat, okay? It's the things that's driving up our blood sugar, which we're going to talk about. Everything that's driving up our blood sugar is being converted into, it's being stored all over our bodies. And it's not, we can't store it as sugar. Our blood sugar can only go so high before we store it in our liver. Our liver's at maximum capacity. It's like a wet sponge, right? Once the liver's full of sugar, what are we left with? We have an infinite ability to store the rest as body fat. But we'll talk about that on, I think, day 3 or 4. But just know, again, your morning fasting blood sugar is not an accurate reflection of dinner from the night before. So I'm really glad you guys said that part makes sense. Okay, so now I want to talk about your micro assignment for day 1. Again, there's no diet changes today, okay? So what I want you guys to think about right now and maybe share with us in the chat is what nutrition advice you were given when you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes. What kind of nutrition advice did your doctor or dietitian or diabetes educator or endocrinologist give you? So for a lot of people, the most common advice I see is to eat 30 to 60 grams of carbs per meal. So a lot of people are told to eat 45 grams of carbs per meal. So if there was a number of grams of carbs you were told to eat, please drop that in the chat for us. Again, I see a lot of people right in that 30 to 60 grams of carbs per meal. And a lot of times they're told to eat 20 grams of carbs per snack. So I see a lot of women told 45 grams of carbs per meal and 20 grams per snack. Tell us in the chat. So Kimberly said 45 grams per meal. Yep. And Elaine was told 3 meals with 45 grams of carbs each. Laura said less carbs. She said under 40. Linda said 45. Nancy said 45. Karen said less than 30 per day. Bob said 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal and 25 for snacks. Yeah, pretty common. Cheryl said 45. Okay, cool. So a lot of you guys and someone else just shared 120 grams per day, which if you divide that into the 3 meals, probably right around there, right? 690, yeah. Some people are not told necessarily an amount of carbohydrates to eat, but they were told to go plant-based. So you guys tell us in the chat if you were told to go plant-based or maybe you were told to eat specific foods. Again, please tell us in the chat if there's specific foods that someone recommended to you. I see most commonly people being told to eat oatmeal for breakfast. So type oatmeal if you were told to eat oatmeal for breakfast. Or maybe you were told to eat less red meat and eat more vegetarian sources of protein. So maybe you were told to eat rice and beans or quinoa instead of meat. Maybe you were told that sweet potatoes are really healthy. How many of you guys were told to go vegan, vegetarian, or plant-based? Please type that in the chat. I see Kristen typed plant-based. Erwin said he was told to eat oatmeal. Rosa said oatmeal. Yeah, so lots of people. Chris said whole grains and legumes. So that sounds like more of the plant-based agenda, right? Pushing people towards more plant-based foods instead of meat. And I'm going to share my guidelines with you guys tomorrow. I'm not going to do that today. So I want to be clear that these are not my guidelines. This is not what I would be recommending to you guys. But this is what we're going to test today. Because the way that I'm going to teach you to test today, we're going to continue doing throughout the 5 days so that you can compare the guidelines you were given compared to what I teach you. And you're going to see a significant drop in your blood sugar this week by day 2. So today you're going to test a meal following the advice you were already given from someone else, whether it was Mediterranean, oatmeal, plant-based, 45 grams of carbs per meal. That's what you're going to test today, okay? Yep, and Nancy says, I bought a ton of diabetic cookbooks that were full of carbs and sugar recipes. Not helpful. Same thing. You go to the American Diabetes Association website, and you look at their recipes. Guys, this is not what I would recommend. So same kind of thing. There's no shortage of misinformation and bad advice out there, but what I can say with certainty is you guys test you test these guidelines. You test 45 grams of carbs in a meal, or you test a plant-based meal. So maybe you sit down with a quinoa bowl with sweet potatoes and lots of veggies, and you test that and you compare it to what I'm going to teach you to do tomorrow. You're going to see drastically different blood sugar readings. Okay. So today what you're going to do is test a meal following this advice. Let me share with you guys how to do that. So these are your instructions for day 1. We're going to continue testing your blood sugar this way throughout the rest of this 5-day challenge. So don't worry, you don't have to memorize this right now. It's going to be in the day 1 post inside the Facebook group, and you're also going to get an email later today with this slide with these instructions. So, how to test your blood sugar. This is the only way to actually determine how a specific meal impacts your blood sugar, you guys. So I really want you all paying very close attention right now. Step 1, you have to test your blood sugar immediately before your first bite of food. This is your baseline number, okay? So when you sit down for lunch today, if you're going to test lunch, okay? If you're going to test lunch, you sit down. You have to see what your blood sugar is before your first bite of food. Not an hour ago doesn't count. Your blood sugar could have changed in that last hour or even in that last 20 minutes. Right before your first bite, you test your blood sugar. This is your baseline number. Then you go ahead and eat your meal. And then I know it says here 90 minutes, but it's really 60 to 90 minutes later, okay? You test your blood sugar again 60 to 90 minutes later. And what we're looking for is the peak. How much does your blood sugar rise after you eat that meal? So from your first bite, you start the timer, and then you wait 60 to 90 minutes, and then you test again. And we expect that your blood sugar will probably be a little higher, or maybe a lot higher, depending on what you ate, okay? We're looking for the peak, to be clear. Then you do just a little basic math. You subtract your baseline number from your post-meal number, and this is how many points that specific meal raised your blood sugar, okay? So I'll give you guys an example, and you guys tell me if this makes sense. For day 1, I want you guys testing some of these guidelines that someone gave you, whether it's from the American Diabetes Association website or maybe you were referred to a dietitian. Let's say the advice you were given was to eat 45 grams of carbs per meal. So for day 1, what you're going to do is you're going to test a meal following those guidelines. Let's say today you choose to test lunch. So you sit down and you have a bowl of rice and beans and sweet potatoes, a beautiful plant-based meal. Maybe there's corn mixed in, whatever. Or maybe you sit down and you measure out a meal that has 45 grams of carbs. So you sit down and before your first bite, you test your blood sugar. Let's say your blood sugar is 150 before your first bite. Okay, so 150. Then you eat your meal and you start the clock after your first bite. You wait 60 to 90 minutes. Later, you test your blood sugar again. Let's say afterwards, your blood sugar is now 210. So your blood sugar started at 150. Now it's at 210. You do the math. 210 minus 150, that's 60 points. So your blood sugar went up 60 points. Okay? Give you guys another example. Let's say you want to test a big bowl of oatmeal because everyone says oatmeal is so healthy. So you do up your oatmeal with all the fixins you normally do, and you sit down and you test your blood sugar immediately before your first bite. And let's say your blood sugar is lower. Let's say you do have a blood sugar, it's 110. Okay, so it's 110 before your first bite. You wait 60 to 90 minutes. You test again after your first bite. You wait 69 minutes, you test again, and let's say now it's 210. So you went from 110 to 210. So your blood sugar went up 100 points. Okay? So that's what we're going to do all week. I'm going to ask you to test one meal per day for the remainder of this 5-day challenge. You're welcome to test more often. You're welcome to test any foods or meals that you want, but you have to test before and after. If you don't get that before number, the pre-prandial number, then you have no idea how much that meal actually impacted your blood sugar. Does that make sense, you guys? Because so many people are only testing after they eat. Well, that's making a big assumption that your blood sugar is flatlined and the same all the time. We have no idea where your blood sugar is at before you eat unless you test it. Even if you think you know your baseline numbers, you really don't unless you test, because they bounce around. And if you ever have worn a CGM, you guys see your blood sugar does not flatline. It goes like this all day. Even if you're fasting, it goes like this. So you have to test before. You wait 60 to 90 minutes. We're looking for the peak. And then you test again, and then you do the math. And you see, did your blood sugar go up 5 points, 18 points, 110 points? You're going to see, guys, we're going to see a huge range today, okay? But what we want you to test, and I am serious about this, we want you to test the guidelines you were given. And even if you weren't given any guidelines, then here's what I recommend. Go to the American Diabetes Association website and follow their guidelines. Pick out a recipe from their website. Or if you were told to eat a specific food, I love when people test oatmeal, because I want to show you guys the contrast between these foods like rice and beans or oatmeal compared to the guidelines I'm going to give you tomorrow. And you guys are going to see your blood sugar might shoot up, 70, 80, 100 plus points today following these guidelines. Tomorrow, we're going to get it down so much less. It's so exciting to see. So that's our promise to you, is if you do day one, like we have it written here, if you follow these guidelines for day one and compare it to our guidelines that we're going to teach you tomorrow for day 2, you'll be celebrating your blood sugar by tomorrow. So we're very, very excited about this. Are we clear about what we're doing today? Does that make sense, you guys? You're gonna follow the same structure all week this week, but starting tomorrow, you'll be following our guidelines. So you're gonna test your blood sugar immediately before lunch or dinner. Here's the other thing. We want you testing lunch or dinner and not breakfast. Can anyone guess why we wouldn't want you testing breakfast this week? You guys are saying yes, that this makes sense. Thank you. Can anyone guess why we wouldn't want you guys testing breakfast this week? Is there a reason you can think of? Yes, Allison said it. Cortisol, Dawn phenomenon. Yep. Good job, you guys. Yep, Dawn syndrome, also known as Dawn phenomenon. Exactly. You can eat. Yeah, you guys can certainly test the foods that we recommend this week at breakfast time. But the reason we don't really want you testing your blood sugar before and after breakfast is because it can be very misleading because of cortisol, right? Cortisol is going to raise your blood sugar whether you eat or not. And so it throws a wrench in things, and it doesn't give us an accurate depiction of how your breakfast is affecting your blood sugar. In fact, some people, when their cortisol is high, pumping out and causing an increase in your blood sugar in the morning, when you eat, you might actually notice your blood sugar starts to drop. It's not because so many people think, oh, the food lowered my blood sugar. It's not because the food's lowering your blood sugar. It's because your body goes, oh, I need to stop releasing all this stored sugar because there's more coming in. So all that's happening is you switch from releasing stored sugar, which by the way, we want to do sometimes, right? If you're overweight and you have some body fat you want to get shed, or if you have fatty liver that you want to reverse, then we have to release it from storage. We have to release all that fat and convert it back into sugar to get rid of it. So many people are under the impression, we've got it twisted. And I see dietitians and doctors telling people eat within an hour of waking up. Why? Then you're just stopping your body from releasing all the stored sugar that you, trust me, you want to get rid of. If you've got 30, 50, 100 pounds to lose, you want to release that, right? But so many people are told to eat an hour within waking up. Why? So you can stop that process. So you're just adding more in and not releasing all the sugar that's stored throughout our bodies. Yeah, here's another thing you guys can test. I see lots of things in the chat. You can test any food that you think is healthy. Okay, so you can test a smoothie or a juice, right? Go get a beautiful, fresh squeezed fruit and veggie juice. You could test that. You could test a smoothie. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's going to spike you more than what we recommend starting tomorrow. So, yeah, guys, we're going to give, and I see you guys asking about specific meals. We're going to give you our guidelines tomorrow, okay? So we're going to go ahead and wrap up our day one training. I think we're clear on what we're doing. You're going to test a meal following these steps, step 1, 2, 3. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find the day one post, which looks like this, and you're going to just drop a number in the chat. That's your micro assignment for today. Tell us what you ate. We love to see what you ate. So if you tested oatmeal for the day one post, type oatmeal, 80 points. Or if you tested rice and beans and sweet potatoes, rice, beans, and sweet potatoes, right, caused me to spike 111 points. So you just drop a number in the chat. You don't have to tell us what your blood sugar was before and after. Just do the math. Tell us how much that meal spiked your blood sugar. Maybe 45 points, right? Whatever it is. So that's your assignment for day one. The last couple things I want to cover is just reminding you guys, it's the difference in your blood sugar that matters more than the numbers themselves. So we actually don't care if your blood sugar is 200 before your first bite and then 210 afterwards, then it only went up 10 points. That's awesome. Or maybe your blood sugar was 100 before and 110 after, in which case it went up 110 points. Big difference, right? One person might have had a higher baseline number, but their meal only caused their blood sugar to go up 10 points, which is fabulous. The other person had a low baseline number of 100, and I've seen this in myself, you guys. I've tested some things that I don't recommend that caused me to go from a blood sugar of 90 to 210. That's ridiculous, right? So many people are unknowingly doing this every day because they're not testing both before and after. That's how we want you to test. So we want you to look at the difference. We really are taking your baseline numbers out of the equation entirely and focusing on how many points did the meal raise your blood sugar. And then the last thing I want to mention, you guys, is that our glucose meters, whether you're wearing a CGM or you're doing the finger pricks, they all have a margin of error. These are not 100% accurate. So just know there's two things that could happen this week as we work through this challenge. And these are not a perfect science. So according to the FDA, glucose meter values should be within 15% of results obtained from a lab 95% of the time, and within 20% of lab measurements 99% of the time. So what does that actually mean? That means that they can be up to 15% off often, okay? So those glucose meters, when you prick your finger and it says 100, your blood sugar could really be 85, or it could really be 115, okay? So they're not 100% accurate, but for the sake of this challenge, we are going to use them. They are very helpful. Just know there's two things that could happen. Starting tomorrow when we give you guys our guidelines is your blood sugar might rise more than you think it should. And it could be one of two culprits. It could be that you ate something that we don't recommend, like we're telling you to do today, or it could be a meter error. So you'll see myself and our other 3 coaches, Callie, Tiana, and Katie, in the Facebook group this week. And actually a lot of our members in the Type 2 Transformation Program who are here supporting you guys as well, you'll see a lot of us saying things like, you know, did you eat something off plan? Or it's possible this was a meter error. So sometimes we're just going to chalk it up to a meter error. Sometimes you did everything perfectly and it looks like your blood sugar spiked more than it should have, in which case it'll be a meter error. Okay, and I shared with you guys the Stelo or the Lingo for the CGMs. Those are very new. I'll be sure to post them this week in the Facebook group for you guys, the direct links to them, because those are really cool devices. And this is what the day 1 post is going to look like. So we are right on the 1 hour mark. All right, I got through our slides for today. And then tomorrow we'll be back on same time, same place. Guys, we have so much more to cover this week, and every day's training really kind of piles on to the next day. So we want you showing up every single day if you can, and if not, go ahead and catch the replay. You can find it under the featured tab at the very top of our Facebook group, and later in the evening I will send out the replay every single day. So just keep your eyes on your inbox. Tomorrow I'm really excited. Tomorrow we cover macros, myths, and misconceptions. I'm going to debunk all the misinformation that's keeping you guys stuck and dependent on a lifetime of medications, when what we're actually looking at is a perfectly repairable disease. Type 2 diabetes and prediabetes are reversible. Insulin resistance is reversible. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to debunk all the nutrition guidelines that we talked about that you're testing today, and tell you guys exactly why I don't recommend that you eat things like oatmeal. I don't recommend going plant-based. But for the sake of today, we really want that contrast. We really want you to follow these guidelines today, so that tomorrow you can compare them to what we teach you. I don't expect anyone to trust me blindly ever. Okay, that's why I want you guys to test the way we're teaching you to test and see for yourself, because the numbers do not lie. So we're so excited to have you guys here. Thanks for joining me for day 1. We'll be back on same time, same place tomorrow, doing it all over again, talking about macros, myths, and misconceptions. And you will see myself and Callista, Tiana, and Katie supporting you guys over in the Facebook group, as well as dozens of our clients who are members of the Type 2 Transformation Program, who are also here to support you as well. So guys, loved hanging out with you guys. Help each other out in the Facebook group when you get a chance. And we really just appreciate all the support and positivity. You guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you guys later. All right, so this is just going to be a short and sweet breakdown of what's included when you enroll in the Type 2 Transformation Program. So I'm going to cover the 3 components that you get immediate access to upon enrolling, which are going to be the Type 2 Transformation Program membership site, the Facebook group, and then also group coaching calls available to you 5 days a week on Zoom, hosted by myself or one of my other functional nutritionists. So let me go ahead and share my screen and show you what each of these components looks like, starting with the membership site. So the membership site is incredible because this is really the guts of the program, and this is what's responsible for our 99% success rates and helping people lower their A1C in 3 months flat. And that's because this is where your 12-week step-by-step plan is located. So all you're going to do once you enroll is about once a week, you're going to log into this membership site right here, and you're going to scroll down, and you're going to start at the top with week 1 and work your way through the program 1 week at a time, starting with week 1 and working your way all the way down to week 12. It's all laid out for you, super straightforward, step by step. What each week is going to look like is a series of lessons explaining what I'm asking you to do, why I'm asking you to do it, and then providing you with any cheat sheets, lists, guides, resources to really help you fast track those results. So for example, early on in week 1, there's a lesson on medications and hypoglycemia because most people join this program already on some really powerful blood sugar lowering medications. But what we're teaching you is so effective at lowering your blood sugar that you might find that early on you might be experiencing low blood sugar, and it might already be time to have that discussion with your doctor about reducing or discontinuing some of these medications. So right off the hop in week 1, we're covering what to look for and how to talk to your doctor about that. We're going to teach you how to read a food label. This is really important. In my experience, most people don't know what to look for on a food label. They're looking at all the wrong things, or they're completely overwhelmed. And so in this lesson, I'm teaching you exactly what to make a beeline for. We're going to teach you exactly what to eat, limit, and avoid, and then give you those lists, cheat sheets, guides to make that you can print out, you can screenshot on your phone. It's going to make implementing this as easy as possible. So this is the membership site. As you can see, there's lots of resources here. If you scroll down to the bottom, we've got even more resources for you. We've got recipes, a bundle of over 100 recipes. We also have a Thanksgiving recipe bundle. We've got alcohol, mixers, and mocktails guide. It's really important to me that I'm not asking you to give up anything that's not necessary in your quest to reverse type 2 diabetes. So my promise is that this is the least restrictive but most effective strategies to reverse insulin resistance. So let me show you what a couple of these resources look like, and then we'll dive into the Facebook group and then our Zoom calls, group coaching calls on Zoom. So for example, the bundle of 100 recipes looks like this. There are way more recipes than this floating around in the Facebook group, but this is just an example of some compliant recipes that I've put together. So you've got breakfast, poultry, beef, pork, seafood, lamb, soups and chilies. We've got salads, appetizers, side dishes, more side dishes. We have pasta, bread, and baked goods that are grain-free and will not spike your blood sugar. We've got sauces, dressings, and marinades. We've got desserts. We've got beverages. And then at the bottom, I've even included more resources for recipes that I recommend. So again, this is just one of the many resources available to you. I've also put together an Amazon storefront that my members really enjoy. This is where you can shop brands and specific products that we like and recommend in the program. You don't need to buy anything fancy at all, but those of you who are interested in finding some products that you see floating around the Facebook group, I've compiled as many as I can here for you. And you can see it's broken down into categories. So we've got condiments and seasonings. So we've got like sugar-free ketchup. We've got starches. So this is your bread, pasta, rice, tortillas, pizza crust, things like that. We've got low carb sweets and baking for those of you who like baking, but there's also, store-bought ready to eat options in this category. We've got snacks, we've got low carb cookbooks, we've got educational books, we've got kitchen gadgets, beverages. So this is kind of your one-stop shop. You can certainly find a lot of these products locally or order them elsewhere online, but I like using Amazon simply for the fact that it allows me to put all these products in one place and showcase them for you. But also, it was really important to me when I created this program that I'm not just giving you a do-it-yourself step-by-step plan. I really wanted to include a lot of support with the program. So that's where the Facebook group and our group coaching calls on Zoom come into play. So I want to show you what type of things are being posted in the Facebook group. So for example, this person made a BLT lettuce wraps. So we're very food oriented. This person posted that she made beef enchiladas with the egg life wraps, which can be found in the Amazon storefront. So those are really fun. This person just posted a picture of a nice healthy dinner. Again, she made a corn-free cornbread with another item that's in the Amazon storefront. This person's having breakfast for dinner. This person is kind of asking for feedback. She said, any thoughts on this product? It's an ice cream that claims to be low carb. And so she got a lot of feedback on this post. This is also a great place to post a thread or a question. So many people ask about bread that I took it upon myself a very long time ago to start this bread thread, which still is very popular to this day. If you poke through the comments, you'll see people sharing all kinds of recipes for 90-second mug breads and chaffles and bagels and biscuits and all kinds of things in here, as well as, again, store-bought products as well. So these are the types of things that are being posted in the Facebook group. We share products that we like. So this is what I call a healthy Gatorade. So it's a nice electrolyte replenishment that won't spike your blood sugar. This person shared these outer aisle sandwich rounds, which are really fun. Again, they're grain-free. They won't spike your blood sugar. They also make a pizza crust. They're in the Amazon storefront. But also what's really cool about the Facebook group is you can post a question or you can post anonymously. Like this person just said, hey, I'm having a hard time right now. She needed a pick-me-up. And if you poke through the comments here, you see she got exactly what she needed in that moment. So our members just dove right into her rescue. They said, we've been in your shoes. There's no such thing as perfect. You're doing better today than you were before. No one's done this perfectly. You're in the best place. Hang in there. It gets easier. Just make the small changes. You're making a big difference here. So that's exactly what this person needed in that moment. And you can see she just received nothing but love and support from our members and from my team. So that's what the Facebook group is all about. And then the last component of the program is our group coaching calls available to you on Zoom. These are available 5 days a week, hosted by me or one of my functional nutritionists. These calls are totally optional. They're very casual. It's just an opportunity to hop on Zoom with us and have a back and forth conversation. So this is what those calls look like. And most people show up and they don't even have a question or anything to share. Most people stay muted the entire time and just listen in and learn something new, and they're getting that accountability. But you can certainly bring your questions, show up. You can show up late, you can leave early. You guys set the agenda for these calls is how we like to say it. I show up as a blank slate, and I see where the conversation takes us. I see what my audience wants to talk about, what you guys have to share or want to ask. So that's what the Zoom calls look like. And again, they're optional, but they are available to you 5 days a week. So those are the 3 components of the Type 2 Transformation Program. You've got your step-by-step plan located here on the membership site. This is what's responsible for our very high success rates. And then you get loads of support through the Facebook group and our Zoom calls. We would absolutely love to have you. If your A1C is 5.7 or higher, you are a great candidate for the program, and we're really confident we can help. You can absolutely reply if you have any questions at all. Otherwise, you can click the link to enroll, and we would absolutely love to have you. All right, I think we are live. Let's see. All right, I think we're live for the 5-day blood sugar challenge. If you all could do me a favor and say hello in the chat, let me know that you can hear me and see me on this beautiful Monday.